So I want to talk to you about my almost 2 decades, 20 years of experience as being an investor and having private equity firms, and share with you what I know in a short period of time so you can maybe go out there and start doing this yourself. My name's Aaron Sansoni. I've been an investor now for, as I said, almost 2 decades. I've been involved in probably close to 200 different deals now myself personally that I've been involved in, whether I bought into the business, whether I've started the company, whether I bought the business out completely. And I've been involved in thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other deals with my students all around the world. So here's what I've learned in my 20 years of doing this. A couple of things. Number one, when you hear private equity, you hear, venture capital, you hear all these big words, you start to go, oh gosh, I can't do that. That's not me. It's a big word and I can't do that. I only own a business, or I only own 2 businesses, or I only am, in a job. Listen, effectively a private investor is just someone that's private equity, is just someone that does investments. That's all they're doing. They're investing into something, hoping to get a gain. Now, you can start a private equity firm. Anyone can start a private equity firm. Now, when you talk about this, there's 2 major parts to it. One is, are you going to raise capital and use other people's money to go out there and invest and do stuff? Or 2, are you going to start off and do it yourself? My recommendation where you're starting is to go out there and start to understand the process yourself. Understand investments. Understand how you can speak to people about what kind of businesses you're interested in, the process of that investment, the process of the questions you want to ask, and learning how to be able to partner with the right people and have a couple of deals under your belt. And the reason for that is that when you actually go out there and say, right, I want to go raise capital for a project or an investment, or I want to go set up a fund so you can go out there and use that money to invest in lots of projects, you're going to be more confident because you've done it before, right? You've been a part of it before, you've done it before, you feel more confident. So that's what I did. I started it myself before I understood that. So number one, start. Just start, register yourself your company, get out there and start to look for opportunities. The second thing, and I suppose it's a little bit part of what I said to you as well, is that anyone can do this, right? There's this imposter syndrome that people feel about investment, that I can't be involved in that world unless I have a degree. Well, I don't have a degree unless I have an MBA. Well, I don't have an MBA, or unless I've got a really good score in school. Well, I didn't get a really good score in school. I just got out there and I learned from mentors. I learned from other people. I read a bunch of books. You know what? Some of these books made sense. Some of them didn't make sense. I had to go out there and do it myself and work out my own way of doing it, which is why I teach so much these days about it, because I suppose everything I teach is kind of my own system of how I've learned, right? But what I understood is that what held me back early on is this imposter syndrome, that I can't do this, right? What do I know? Who am I? I can't own businesses. I can't do this. So we have to just give ourselves permission to start. We have to give ourselves permission to be able to start looking beyond this imposter syndrome and know that this is not just about some big multi-billionaires out there that can do investments, and anyone can. In fact, we used to think that entrepreneurship was only for certain people, where we're seeing a massive growth in that. And we're seeing a huge growth in private equity. People believing they can go out there and invest. They don't just want to do stocks or real estate. They want to go and own parts of companies. They want to go and buy companies. They want to go and start companies. They want to become an investor and control their financial destiny. And I think we are seeing a huge push right across the world in individuals, and especially the younger generation coming through, wanting to control their wealth a lot more. I think it's a great trend. So I think the third thing for me is, if you have strengths, play to those strengths. So what I mean by that is, let's say you've got strengths of, you understand a certain industry. So you might decide, okay, I'm a health and wellness coach. Okay, so I'm going to maybe look at some investments in the wellness space because I know it a bit more. If I get involved in that business, if I buy into it or I buy it, I kind of can bring some value in what I do. So maybe play to your strengths if you have them. If you don't, that's okay. You don't have to be strong in one area, but you need to be involved in investments. At least you've got the right people in those investments. You understand what you get into. You're clear on the strategy. So number one, if you've got some strengths, play to them. The other thing I'd also say in my advice that I've learned in 20 years is don't do what every other private equity firm does. That's probably a random piece of advice, I know, but I'll tell you this now, is that what I do is very uncommon, okay? And I'll explain to you why. Most private equity firms out there, they will go out there and they will find one thing that they do. So let's say they're really big in the med tech space, or they're really big in the retail product space. They get involved in lots of retail brands. They just buy those. I do three major things, and it took me a long time to work this out. It took me my entire career to really kind of nail this. I start businesses. So I'll go, okay, I've got an idea. I want to start a brand new company. So what have I've got a couple up here actually. I've started an underwear brand. I've started a perfume brand. I've started 2 or 3 software brands this year. I've started media brands, many businesses I've started, right? Venues, entertainment, everything, right? And I have also bought into businesses. So sometimes I'll buy a whole company. So I'll see a company I really like and I want to go and purchase that company. Or sometimes I'll buy equity into businesses. Now that might be a business that I find that is a business that I know about, or it might be a business that I'm not really an expert in. I don't have to be the expert in everything, because the businesses that I'm buying into are generally, number one, they're called going concerns. So it means that they're making money. I know it sounds like they're not anything going concern, but it means they are. And number two, I go for things that are under management, which means that they've got a management team in place. So I'm not buying myself a job, right? I'm not trying to get involved in the business, take a 20, 30, 40% stake or whatever, and then have to be the CEO. So I will either start a company, I will buy a company, or I'll buy into a company. There are 3 kind of major deal types. There's different parts of those deal types, but there's 3 major deal types. That's what I do. And I think that if you keep an open mind, it means that you might come across an industry or an opportunity and think, you know what, maybe I could start a company in that space. I could do that. All right, let's dedicate some of my private equity funds and invest into building a team and do that. Or you might say, okay, I like that industry and it's going to cost me a bit of money to start a business. Why don't I buy an underperforming business or a performing business and then start to work my magic, do the things I want to do in that business? Either you know what to do or you bring some outside help and you want to grow that business. And sometimes an acquisition's a way to go. Sometimes, I was speaking to a student of mine the other day, and they're based in one of the states in Australia, and they wanted to move to the other state, and they wanted to open up a shop there. And it was going to cost them about $300,000 to do it. I said, well, why open up a shop there? Let's go buy a business that's already there. I should have had to negotiate with little to no money down, so I didn't have to come up with the money. And they ended up getting another location for it with like 30 grand out of pocket. The deal was like a $500,000 deal. So effectively bought it for little money down. And they're able to trade like that. They've got customers, they've got a brand. They just flipped it into their own brand, but they've got a location that's up and running. And that would have taken them a hell of a long time to make that happen if they just started it. So be open to buying. And also buying into the equity. So start buying, buy into. I've done that many times over my life. Some with money, some without money as well. That probably would be something I would say is just keep an open mind to that. What I also say is that, and I mentioned this, throughout this, that you might need to think about also building great people around you. So they could be partnerships that you have. So people you meet along the way, you think, we could probably do something together. Or it could be people that come and work with you inside of your investment business. You want to have a couple of people that might be really good on finance. So you want to bring them in, or really good on creating systems. So you bring them in, or really good on selling. So you bring them in to help build the sales process throughout every one of your companies. So start to build your kind of dream team, your kind of dream investment team. I also think I probably really avoided this early on because I didn't really totally understand it, but I think you need to also look at the idea of leverage and debt. Understand what that means. So for you might be having a business right now that if you basically have money in your bank account, you go, okay, I can spend money to grow my business. Well, a lot of private equity and venture capital firms and big investors, they're not using just what they have in their bank account to grow. They're going and understanding how to leverage what they have and then go and get debt to be investing that, right? Now, of course, I can't give you financial advice. I don't know where you're at financially, but there might be an opportunity for you to be able to leverage where you're at and start to get access to more cash to invest. Now, what I'm actually speaking about is 2 different ways to grow any business, let alone a private equity firm. That is, you can grow through what's called organic growth. So you grow through whatever money I have come in, I reinvest that money. Or you can grow through what I call artificial growth, where you go leverage what you have, you get some debt, and then you go invest into the things that can make you money. But like anything, if you leverage with the bank to be able to go and buy a house and they give you a loan for that, you got to make sure you can pay back the loan. You want to hopefully buy it in a growth area. It's the same as business. You know, it's funny. People think that, you know, leverage and debt when it comes to business is a really bad thing. Yet 99.999% of the houses in the entire world would never be bought without leveraged debt from the bank. So there comes a point where you have to start considering growing your business, but doing it without using your own cash, doing it by learning how to leverage and get access to the bank's debt or even other people's money as well. So key things for me, there's a lot I could teach you around private equity. Here's the biggest thing. Start, give it a go. Anyone can do it. Move past the imposter syndrome. You know, this is not just for the multi-billionaires. Anyone can set up a company, choose to become an investor, put themselves out and say, right, I am looking to become an investor and start my own private equity firm. I do things differently. I do three things. I start businesses, I buy businesses, and I buy into businesses. Majority of other private equity firms on the planet don't do that. They stick to just one of them, but you know, I've never really followed the rules anyway. But I like that idea. I'll tell you why, because it means I can walk into a conversation and I've got different paths I can take with someone, not just, well, if you're not in medtech or if you're not in retail, I'm not gonna have a conversation with you. So I've got different avenues I can go down. If you are brand new, you've got some strengths, play to those. If you don't have strengths yourself, well, who else do you know that has strengths? Can you bring them in? And can you be able to start looking at an opportunity with them as well? I said it before, I say it again, just go against the tide, you know, have a look at the different options, starting, buying and buying into. And also I would say about leveraging. If you've got some level of success, you want to have multiple businesses with multiple income streams, start looking how you can leverage what you're currently doing and maybe looking how you can grow how you can grow artificially, so leveraging debt, or versus growing organically as well, if that's something that makes sense to you as well. So there's a lot I could teach you on that. But in my 2 decades of doing private equity, there's definitely a couple of lessons that I've just given you there that I wish I got at the beginning. Listen, if you love this, if you got something from it, I'd love to make you more content, more training, more stuff. Let me know in the comments how much you love it. And if you love it, I'll do some more stuff for you. See you soon.